You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Let's look back now on All Blacks v Namibia with a man who's actually played in that game back in World Cup in 2015. He's a winger. His name is David Philander. He joins us now from Africa. David, welcome to the program. I suppose, first up, that'd bring back keen memories, wouldn't it, watching your team up against the All Blacks? It'll take you back to the past.
Hi, Darcy. Thanks for having me. Yeah, no, it definitely brings back a lot of memories. You know, a lot of good ones and a lot of ones you'd like to forget. But yeah, you know, it's awesome experience nonetheless.
So what do we bring out of this? Look, Namibia appear to only play the All Blacks in World Cups, and I'm sure it's one of the biggest games of all of those players' careers. What does the union hope to achieve out of these matches? Because you're always going to get beaten currently, isn't it? So you must be looking for something else. What would that be?
You know, Darcy, the first thing is, by all means, I can bet my life on it. We do not want to play the All Blacks every World Cup. We would like to avoid them where we can, you know. But I think it's something probably has to do with where you get ranked up, and then just prior to the World Cup, that's how we always happen to end up having the ABs in our group stages. But you know, it is a great experience. We do tend to take a lot out from playing against them. You know, stuff that they do well, how we can implement it into our game, or maybe improve on what we're currently doing. You know, we take a lot of learning curves out of it. But yeah, great experience, but definitely not keen to play them every time.
Have you seen growth, David, in the Namibian national side over the years? Not necessarily up against the All Blacks, but in general, are the team moving forward?
In the sense, they are. They are. We've been. I know the rugby union has recently been overhauled. New management came in. We recently got a lot of players, or young players that they trade in SA or in the United States. But these are boys that have recently just come into the system, so it's like they've been playing catch up the whole time. But just like there's been growth in the Namibian Rugby Union, there's been growth in all other countries. Other countries have brought in young players as well, and so they keep on staying up top. You know, so just it kind of doesn't look like it. I think our best score against the ABs was in 2015, if not mistaken, and we actually managed to score then. And by the looks of tonight's game, it kind of looks like we took a back foot, but I should say that there has been some growth in a sense.
How big is the sport in Namibia? How many players are we looking at? Is it dominant? Is it well attended? Is it well participated in, David?
That's actually the sad part of it all, you know, Darcy. If I had to guess, I think our population is roughly 3 million right now, of which the premier rugby competition consists out of only 8 teams. So there's literally 8 Premier League teams. They've got a reserve team, and out of the 8 teams, 6 of the teams got a ladies team, and then that's how much Premier teams we got. So if you want to pick up an invitational side or a national side out of locally based players, you got to pick them out of only 8 teams. So we don't have a big pool of players to pick from. We can't even field a competitive 15-a-side team and a competitive 7-a-side team on the same day or the same month or the same, more or less in the same time frame, because you gotta make use of the guys in the 15s and try and utilize them in the 7s in the 7s program, because the bunch or your best guys are involved in the 15s. So it's almost like the player pool is so small. You can't have a sevens code in the 15s code independently operating independently. It's unreal.
David Philander joins us, former winger for the Namibian national rugby team. Is this lack of player numbers, is this because it's not been engaged at a younger level? Is it purely financial? What do you think needs to happen to lift Namibian playing numbers?
Yeah, obviously finances play a big part of it. Our current funding, we do have a couple of sponsors that I know of that are currently aiding the union, and then obviously we tend to get assistance from World Rugby on I think it's a yearly basis, not mistaken, but the funding is so small or so limited that we can only afford to play, say, 3 tests. I think it's usually July. We compete in the Nations Cup. So we play like 3 tests during July. And then the odd year, we'd have an end of year tour and maybe play 2 or 3 tests against similar competitive nations as ourselves. But that is literally it when it comes to playing test rugby. That is what we do during the year. You maximum of maybe 6 tests a year, and that's it. You got to try and get some other teams, invitational teams, to try and play against or compete against. But yeah, finances do play a big part. I think that is the main headache that we have right now. And yeah, just our player pool is so small. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot for the game to really grow in Namibia.
David, you spent a lot of time over here in New Zealand playing rugby over here. Is there anything you took back from your time in New Zealand that you can plant in Namibia to maybe help improve the status of the game?
Well, that's what I've taken a lot and implemented it here when I started, especially when I started coaching. That's why my emphasis was more on sevens rugby, because you got a smaller squad to work with, and you can really mold players independently. And I was fortunate enough to be coached by some really good coaches, and the knowledge I've gained, I've shared and implemented into the sevens program, and even into the 15s. When I played 15s, I coached 15s quite a bit as well. So the knowledge I've taken over, I have implemented, I have assisted where I can, but it's going to take some time. One man can't bring in a little bit of knowledge and expect change immediately. There's other guys coming from other avenues as well, and they want to implement what they've learned in the States or in South Africa or wherever. And it's almost like we're pulling in different directions and with the little that we have. But yeah, it's gonna take a lot. I think we're at the point I think Uruguay has done very well with what they've got. I take it they probably have a bigger pool of players to pick from, but financial wise, they've done great. Their recent game against France was amazing, and we play the likes of Uruguay in the Nations Cup. So for them to put up a performance like that against France was really impressive. So yeah, for Namibian rugby, it's going to take a lot of assistance for them to get up there. But yeah, all in due course.
And finally, David Philander, and thanks so much for joining us over in Zimbabwe are at the moment. Just looking across the World Cup in general, do you rate the All Blacks' chances of going all the way? And if not, who do you actually like to stand atop of them all come the final?
Well, I didn't spend a lot of time or almost 6 years of my life in New Zealand not to end up not supporting them. I've always been a big New Zealand fan myself since my being a childhood. So them coming off 2 defeats, I knew they were hurting, and that's hence the way they played tonight. They They play the running game. That's how we knew them or know them. Attack from everywhere. So I would like them to get back up there. I think being top 4 is not ideal. It's not what we used to seeing New Zealand at. We like seeing them being number 1 in the world. They've been number 1 in the world in the era of Carter and McCaw for dominated world rugby for a whole decade. And it's good. I'd really like to see them back up there, hands down.
And we hope we'd have the same thing. David Philander, real pleasure. Thanks very much for your time. Best of luck for your future and the future of Namibian rugby. Thank you.
Thanks, Darcy, for having me. Have an awesome one.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.